Hello guys, it's Veruca. I am here to just show you how I do my makeup and share a little bit of tips, some tricks, and maybe you'll learn something, maybe I'll entertain you. But thank you for joining me and let's start. So when I do my makeup, I always start with my brows. Now, I'm not really the greatest at covering brows, so what I do is I get my brows waxed where they're arched enough, where they look okay in drag, and they still look okay whenever I'm not in drag. So if you're struggling with covering your brows, I say just skip it. To be honest, you have to be really good at it to make it look really flat in person, and even then you can still see texture. And my drag always comes from like a realism, like female impersonation. So I always want it to look really good at up close too. So what I do is I always start with, this is the Anastasia Dip Brow in Taupe. This is the pomade. I always start with this because I find that it gives like a really good base for pencils and powders to stick on, and then you really get that nice like structured feel. So I'm using an angled brush. This is a Morphe M158, but any angled brush works if you just kind of want to know which one I'm using. I am not sponsored by any makeup company, but if you would like, you totally can, okay? So these are things that I bought with myself, so. And if you see me looking down, it's just because I'm looking into a mirror, okay? But I'm gonna try my best to do it upward. So what I like to do is always like brush my brows straight up so I can kind of see like the structure. And I always start about right here in the beginning. And you want to do harsh lines just to get that structure started. And then with like powder and pencil, you can kind of shape it in like your concealer and everything. But this really gets it all started. Well, it's a really good product, but sometimes if you have too much like moisturizer or oil or anything, like me, I always like to take a little bit of powder, and you can just take it around to kind of absorb the oil. And I'll go ahead and do this side too. And it'll give something for the pomade to stick to, and then when you do your foundation, you can go around and clean it up, so don't worry about it if it looks crazy. And if you add color to the bottom, you're gonna lower your arch. If you add color to the top, you're gonna higher your arch, so that's just something to keep in mind too, as you're filling it in. I kinda do like a little bit here, a little bit there, and kinda figure it out, make them even as possible. And then I slightly just kind of drag the product in the beginning of my brow. I never like for the front of my brow to be super strong. It may look that way now, but when I take my foundation around it, it's going to kind of dissolve it a little bit. And then I'm going to do the other side, and then we'll start with eyeshadow, okay? I have my brows filled in and I look a little crazy. If you do your eye makeup first, you'll always kind of feel weird, but don't stress out, okay? I promise it'll come together. So now that I got them pretty much filled into the same amount, as close as possible, I'm going to take a little bit of my foundation. It's just a little bit lighter than my skin tone, so it's like my highlight foundation. And I'm just going to clean up around my brow. So again, we're kind of getting there. We're getting to where we need to be. So you see how it was kind of messy to begin with and a little too thick? Now I can really control it because I'm really just shaping the product that's already there. And then I take that same concealer, which is actually just like a full coverage foundation. I take that and put it on my eyelids. I don't really stress too much about eyeshadow primer because if you put like a good like sturdy foundation on there, that's your eyeshadow primer right there. On any like shadow I want to do underneath my eyes. So my makeup always starts like here, and then I work my way out. So I have the most makeup always on my eyes because I feel like that's where it's at when I perform. It's all in my eyes, and then the rest just kind of comes. Right, now that I have the foundation on, I just take a wet beauty blender and blend it out because you just don't want a whole bunch of product around your eyes. Trust me, you'll have enough eyeshadow on by the end of this. You don't need that much foundation on. Just kind of blend it out. So then I'm going to take just a little powder puff and some Ben Nye Super White, And this is not where you want to pack it on because we still have to put foundation under our eyes. This is just to get rid of the moisture. So you're really just tapping it out. My biggest tip is find colors that complement your eye color, or if you're going to wear contacts in drag, find colors that complement that. You know, black eyeshadow is always great, but you know, browns and warm tones always work well on blue eyes. Really want to enhance your eye color. Think about colors like that. Look at a color wheel, look at what's opposite of it, and go from there. That's my biggest advice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set like the shape for my eyes. So by no means does this have to be clean, does it have to be perfect, because we're really going to work on that in a little bit. But I'm going to take, this is a M456 by Morphe, or you can use like a MAC 217. Anything fluffy that's meant to just apply eyeshadow, not really be precise. So I'm going to use Saddle. This is like a warm, like medium brown color from MAC. I like those orange colors on my eyes, so I'm going to kind of start with that, and that's going to be my mapping color. And what I mean mapping is just you're really going to just lay down the base of the color that you want. So I'm looking in my mirror over here, but I'm going to angle my face so you guys can see. When I first started doing drag, I always like would focus the eyeshadow like out here so much that I'll be like, where does it go into my nose? How does that work? So we're going to start right here. You do want your crease to be a little bit higher than your actual crease to help open up your eyes. I like to take the crease and kind of blend it out all the way to here. You can take it straight down. Do whatever you like. Try a few different things. It's always fun to try something new and kind of like see how it goes. But this is a shape that I find really works with my eyes. I feel like it really helps kind of open them up. It's a little bit different, a little bit more unique. So just kind of follow my brow if you can see that. So kind of want it to look like that, almost like a little half moon. With just some leftover concealer, you don't want to put an extra layer because you're really going to start to look kind of cakey and it's going to look kind of weird. So just a little bit. I'm going to take it right up to the edge and help the line be more precise. So we're kind of getting there. It's a little bit one-dimensional, but it's okay. It's just one color. So we're going to get there, I promise. So now we're going to just make it a little bit darker. We're going to build up the dimension. Always start with your lighter color. So now I'm going to move on to a darker brown. This is a little bit more richer. It has like a red undertone. This is going to use M506 by Morphe, just a little tighter brush. It's almost like a smaller 224 from MAC, but anything like this. How do you do this? You put your hand behind it. There we go. I don't know. I'm not a professional YouTuber, I promise. I just act like it. So. Alright, so I hope that's kind of helpful and kind of made sense why I did the first color first. So that way you don't feel as intimidated when you get into the darker colors. And then from here you can slowly build up. You can go back to that blending brush. You can tap into the darker color and kind of soften it or make it as harsh as you like. This is about as dark as I'm feeling comfortable with. I am going to take a little small, just a little weird eyeshadow brush and dip it into like a white shimmery color. This is going to be my this is going to be my brow highlight, not my under eye highlight. And this is going to just help my brows like a little bit higher. I'm going to add just a little bit more orange to this and then I'm really going to be done with it. And then once I do like lashes and stuff, I can make it darker, but this is about the shape that I'm feeling. And then what I like to do is take that same little fluffy brush in the orange, the darker brown, kind of mix it. You want that kind of shadow in there. Bring some symmetry back into all this. That way you don't feel so like top heavy. It's gonna look kind of funky as you're doing it, but once you put lashes on and mascara, I promise it'll all come together. Like I said in the beginning, don't judge your makeup as you're doing it. Like, just try something new. And remember, when you put your like wig on and everything, your eye's really going to be more here. So if you're that kind of person that needs to tape your face up to see where your makeup is going, go for it. I encourage it. I can kind of get a visual of how it's going to be. I have that orange on. I'm going to take just a little bit of the darker brown, and I'm going to dip kind of like into like a, not a black, but like a deep, deep, deep brown that has no like red undertone to it. You cover your brows, you'll find you'll have more space. So feel it out. And then I found that doing my wing from the bottom always helps it be a little bit more symmetrical to the other side. So I always like to do the start of my wing in eyeshadow because I can clean it up and then I can get a better feel for it. Like if I want to use like a gel or a cream, I can kind of go from there. So I'm gonna take a little bit of concealer and kind of edge it out. Make it just a little bit more angular because it was a little too stubby. And then what I like to do is I don't like for these to connect. So this is going to be an eyeshadow wing. This is going to be an eyeliner wing. So if you got them too close, don't freak out. You can clean it up with concealer. I feel like all life's problems can be fixed with concealer. So there. And this is almost like, I know this is not like, I'm not creating this eye shape, but it definitely works for me, I find. And then it also kind of gives me like this Star Wars, like Queen Amidala. Like, was that her name? Queen Amidala. Whoever Natalie Portman played.
Oh, was that Natalie Portman?
Yeah, she was like
really?
a child.
Wow, did not know that. Fun fact Friday.
So yeah, I like, it kind of gives me like Star Wars vibes. But it just really helps with my eyeshadow. When I performed in the club a lot, I would just do like black eyeshadow because who cares in a club? But I feel like during quarantine, we've had a little bit more time to play with makeup and try maybe something new. Definitely doing live shows, and that kind of opened my eyes up to the makeup I was doing and how it may not look the best on camera, and how, like, what can you do to make it look better on camera. Now that I've got this all mapped out, I really like the way that it's going. I can kind of see it works with my feel. The only thing is that the bottom is a little bit darker than the top, and you do want them to be a little bit more symmetrical. So I'm going to take a little bit more dark brown and kind of follow through in here. And my biggest tip with eyeshadow is like dedicate a brush to apply it and then dedicate a brush to blend it out. That way you're not blending more product into it and you can layer it. But that's the cool thing about doing your eyes first, is you can really dedicate more time to it. And it's not as permanent if you were to do your foundation first or like be rushing out the door, because my foundation doesn't take me that long. But yeah, I like for my focal point to be my eyes. So yeah, that's really it for the eyes. I am going to finish. I'm going to put some lashes on. I'm going to put mascara. I might put a little bit of liner on top to make it more congruent. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for now, finish the other side, and then we'll move on to other things, and then we'll kind of come back to that. All right, so I've done my other eye. I will go ahead and let you know that I broke this bone on the, like, my orbital bone. So I have given up trying to make my eyeshadow as close as possible, and I suggest you do too as well, because no one's face is symmetrical, so don't freak out, don't stress it. Drag is supposed to be fun. I promise you, nobody is out there judging you if your eyeshadow is different. Now, if it's like two different things, you might want to rethink about it, but get it as close as possible. So, and if you're moving and jucking and jiving, they ain't gonna be looking at your eyeshadow. Make sure it's pretty, that's all that matters. And you feel good about it. So I just wet my brush a little bit because these are like a cake liner, but I'm gonna use it as like almost like a white eyeshadow, and so the water just kind of thins it out a little bit. And I'm just kind of putting a little bit on my hand. But these dried down, so I tried it at, I had a show recently that was outside, and this like held up a lot better than the clown white. So I think I'm gonna switch over to this, and this is kind of like a learning thing too. So It does come in like this cool little like magnetic thing. So you get orange, purple, and white. I'm just using the white. I have not adventurous enough to use the orange or anything, but supposedly they glow in the dark. So we'll see about that. Maybe we'll do another neon colored makeup tutorial if you guys enjoy this. If you don't, you know, just please let me live my own fantasy, okay? So I'm gonna take that same white and then really drag it in between the two liner. Alright, so I did the other eye off camera. I added a little bit of eyeliner underneath. I did lie. I told you I was going to leave this white, but I decided to put a little orange stripe right here. That is just for fun. Something for later on that we're doing today, but just keep it white if you don't feel comfortable doing the color just yet. I wanted to see what the orange would look like, so let's like just ignore it if you don't enjoy it, but I do, so. So what I'm doing now is just adding a little bit of color back to my brows because the powder kind of took over my actual brow hairs. But yeah, I just did liner on the bottom. I did a little bit on top. I'm going to move on from my eyes. I am going to put my headband on. And I like to do this because it's going to get your hair out of the way, obviously, but it kind of will tell you where your wig is going to sit so you don't end up wasting foundation or putting like product in your like lace front or whatever. So I like to use Dermacol. It's the only foundation that I've repurchased like in drag. I used to love the Krylon TV paint sticks, but for some reason they changed the formula. They became really dry, and I like that dewy, wet, really like moisture, like hydrated. I like that look. I don't like the dry face look. My skin is already dry enough, so I try not to add to it. So this is a lighter color, and what I do with this is I start my under eye highlight by just applying it, and I really use this opportunity to clean up underneath my eye because I do like it smoky and sultry, but like I said, I'm not super precise with it, so I use this opportunity to go back and make it precise and clean it up with the product. And this foundation is like waterproof, it's super full coverage, so you really don't have to worry about the eyeshadow mixing into it too much. But I do like to use a little brush when it gets to that part. So if you see, I'm leaving a little bit of shadow behind, but I'm really like using the opportunity to clean up that gel liner. I really want the center of my face to be the lightest, and so I'm basically highlighting and contouring, but with cream products to really help, you know, solidify that face shape, because I find that in the past when I've tried to do like foundation that's one color and then go in with powder, I find it's harder because you're trying to like map it out as you go, but then you're also like, it's not going to last as long. I find that putting cream down first, putting your colors on top of it really helps solidify and make sure it lasts all night so you don't have to touch it up during the gig. So now that I've got my highlight color on, it's kind of sitting on my skin. I like to take the darker color. This is just a darker color than my skin. And I always find that you should always just do a little bit darker than your actual skin, especially if you're pale like me, because if you're pale, there's really not much more you can go brighter than that. So paint a little bit darker so that way you can do your highlights and they can stand out just a little bit. This is a warmer tone that's going to help warm me back up because I really blanked everything out. And then I like to use a cooler tone so it has a little bit more of like a grayish undertone, and that's really going to help solidify the contour because cooler tones actually create shadow. So I start with the warmer one first. And I almost pretend like it's bronzer. So I do a little line, almost like a 3. And you can get a little bit more if you need to. So that's already warmed me up. It's acting like a bronzer. Take your beauty blender and kind of just mesh the colors back together. Make it make sense. And then I take the darker one, and this is really gonna be like my contour. So go a little heavier with this one. And I always use the top of my ear as like a guide. I'd normally try to keep it like a brush handle and a half away from your mouth, because then it's gonna be too much. But do what you feel comfortable doing. I'm gonna blend that out, and I tap, but as I'm tapping it, I'm blending it up, because I want that bottom line to be about where my cheek is. Now remember, this is cream, so this is really just the base for everything. And you can clean it up with other colors. I'm gonna add a little bit up here. And then once you've got your face kind of, the contour started, I like to take a little bit under my chin, like your jaw area. And then if I was wearing my neck out, I would put foundation down here, but I'm not, so this does not really matter, but I do suggest taking your makeup, your base color down your neck. So now that we've got that, I'm gonna take my highlight color. I always start with my highlight to clean up the eyeshadow, but once you kind of get these darker colors involved, you'll see it starts to kind of, you lose that shape. And the highlight, I feel like some people focus too much on the contour and not the highlight, but the highlight is really what's doing the job, because the highlight is bringing it forward. It's making this look more sunken in because you're bringing this so far forward. So like, don't forget about the highlight. And you almost kind of want it like in an upside down triangle. So here and then out to here. And I take just a little bit, because sometimes if you see how like this is kind of like lost, I bring it back. So that way the contour can do its job and the highlight will do its own. So that kind of helps give you a visual. We've got this side, which is just foundation, and this is contour. So yeah, this is what it should look like. Almost like Neapolitan ice cream. And then my favorite thing is, I find that when I do like a powder puff straight onto the cream makeup, I feel like it sticks right there, and then it kind of like crumbles throughout the night or whatever. So what I like to do is, instead of doing the powder puff straight to the cream makeup, I like my wet beauty blender into my super white powder, and then what I do is I really let it kind of absorb some of the creaminess to it. I let it kind of dry it out a little bit, and then I go back and bake, so that way the bake is really sitting on like a smaller layer of powder. And that'll help you like get that illusion when you're up close to someone, but you still look good on stage. I try to always find that like happy medium of like drag makeup and then like looking good up close to it. And that's just my prerogative. Doesn't mean you have to do that, but that's just how I like to look. So just take it for what it is. Then I'll go back with some an actual like powder puff and do it heavy duty drag style. Alright, we had an Amber Alert as I was recording. So what I like to do is really just like press it where it is. I see a lot of people like beating it into their face, and that's fine, you know, do your thing. You know, I'm doing what works for me, but you really just want to press it where it is and then kind of just like tap it out. So that's my highlight. It looks crazy, but remember, we're going to put blush somewhere in this place too, okay? So I do put a little bit of highlight down here, but remember, it's sitting under the contour. My jaw is still down here. So I want this to look sunken in for my face shape and to look more feminine in my drag. I see a lot of people put powder, like white powder down here. You're really defeating the purpose and you're making your jaw look bigger. If that's your thing, go for it, shoot for the stars, but I'm just pointing it out, what I see. So from here, I'll finish the other side and then I'll come back, okay? All right, so I cream contoured This side, I have my super white on and the strategic areas that the cream highlight was sitting. I hope that was easy to follow. Call my lawyer if it's not. Just kidding. But so what I'm going to do now is I really try to build up my nose contour through putting the super white on the sides of my nose. About up to where I know I'm going to put my contour. I don't really cream contour my nose anymore. I find that too much product on my nose kind of shows off too much, like too much pores and texture and everything. So I really try to build it up on the sides, and then I take, this is Java, this is from the Anastasia little contour palette. I use my crease, that color, as a starting point. So I kind of follow it in there to kind of contour the bridge. And this is something you really have to do like side by side. You don't want to like do it too far in and make your nose look crooked. We don't want that. So I'm trying to show you guys what I do. So I just slowly deposit product as I'm going down. Key is like not putting a lot of contour. It's really just like a line where you want your new nose bridge to be. So take it in as far as you would like, and try not to blend it down. You don't want it to be blended down the sides of your nose, because that's going to do the opposite thing and just make your nose look bigger. And since you can't really be precise right now because we've got all this baking going on, just take that super white up to the sides of your nose and into the corner of your eye. That's really going to help really make this the focal point of your face and definitely make it look more feminine. You know, I think that's the goal with most people in drag, or people who are starting out and wanting to learn how to do their base makeup. Feel free to take it over from here. Drag is really an expression of what you like. So this is just how I do my makeup, and hopefully you can take a little tip or two from it and make it make sense to your face. I kind of like, I don't put a lot, but I do take a little bit around my nostrils, just because I feel like sometimes they get left out and you have like all this stuff going on beside it. So I don't want to leave it out. So my favorite thing is to add blush and layers of everything, but you first want to take just a little bit of a translucent powder. It doesn't have to be anything super crazy or fancy, but you do just kind of want to make sure that the cream contour is stuck down. This powder has no color, so it'll just kind of lock it all in. You want that powder just to kind of be eaten up by your skin, and you'll find that your makeup will last longer if you do this, and you'll get that brighter appearance than if you were just doing like one layer. And now I'm just kind of taking off that super white that kind of fell onto my nose contour. But this is kind of like how it begins, how it starts. This is really just the base for everything, and I kind of build from here. So while that's baking, I do take a blush. This is actually from like the Mariah Carey MAC collection, and I don't know what I'm gonna do if when this is gonna run out eventually, because this is the color I love. It's like a peachy pink, and I really just kind of, this is really building up my cheek contour. This is not really my blush per se, but it is a blush product. So what I'm doing is using it to wipe away the super white and kind of build it up. And like my face is very squared, so I always try to move my cheeks like this and really build into that, but never below that already contour line that was there. So I'm just kind of using that translucent powder as like a blending tool, but I'm leaving it right here. And if you feel like, oh crap, I took too much off, don't feel bad and like just go back with some more. But this is really kind of getting the base of my face shape going. I'll even take a little bit of the blush and kind of run it under before I put something darker on it, because I really believe in layering, and that's going to give you the most natural effect. in drag if that's what you like. Now that I'm kind of evened out with like my base blush and everything, what I like to do is, this is probably one of my favorite products in drag. I'm not super picky on what I use. I can usually make anything work. I've even showed up to a pageant with no makeup and somehow made it work with like little things I found in my bag. So, but this is the one thing that if I don't have, I really feel like I can't do my drag makeup. So Plum Brown is made by Le Femme. So it's like a stage makeup company. I don't know. Like I just buy it online, but it used to be sold by people. But this shit is super pigmented. It's a weird color. Please don't judge my makeup, but like it's like a plummy brown. I mean, but it's like a purple, a brown. But this is really good for like the base of your contour. And I just use it lightly on the back of my cheeks. Just that coolness from it really helps create an actual shadow. It's really almost like a dark grayish brown, but this is really effective for drag because it really solidifies where your cheek is. Looks a little crazy, but I promise it all makes sense in the end. And then I take just a little bit of powder underneath to really solidify where that is. And then the lightest touch, I promise, the lightest touch of that plum brown on like a fluffy brush, I take it just around my jaw. We're not trying to create a 5 o'clock shadow, I promise. But once you have your costume on and your neck is covered, or you have your foundation blended down, this really helps push underneath your cheeks. Not your cheeks, but your jaw. And then remember to kind of brush away the excess, because we don't want super white making our jaw look bigger. We want it just to kind of make our cheeks look better. Same thing with the plum brown. I just run it around my hairline. I like a snatched nose. I'll even go on Facetune to like fix my nose in pictures. So I try to do that as much as possible in person. So I take a little tiny brush and just go right on the edges of that nose contour. If you've noticed, what I do is I really put like a color down to make me feel comfortable going into that area. Same thing with the eyes, same things with the cheeks, same thing with the nose. It super helped me in drag feel more confident using those darker colors, because I was always afraid to do that because I was scared it would be too much. But if you put a lighter color underneath it in like a messy fashion, put some darker underneath, it'll be blended already for you, so you don't really have to work as hard. Now that I have the base for everything, it really is like super easy from here. So what I like to do is I take like a loose powder highlight, and I take a little bit and I almost make like a circle right there, because that's like kind of like the ball of your cheek, and I want that to pop. In drag, I don't really take my highlight up here. I feel like that kind of ruins the illusion, but a little bit of shimmer right here really helps pop that cheek out. And then I blend my blush through that. So I like to take it's really the same brush. I don't really use a lot of brushes in drag. I find it to be excessive, and I find it like a kind of like a dirty-ish brush always works a little bit better for drag, because you're not getting like pure one color. So this is like a bright pink. It looks good on my skin. It's easy to do. I can do any lip color with it. I can do a nude, I can do a pink, I can do a red. But what I like to do is, so this is my contour. This is like the starting of my blush. So I really kind of do like this with my face, like a little like that. And I just let the blush kind of live somewhere on top of that through the shimmer, so it's got a little bit of a sheen to it on top of my contour, and then a little bit up. But I really don't take it past where that highlight lives, because I want that to absorb, and then we'll blend it out as you're doing like your final like little finishing touches and everything. So I've got both sides, and you're probably like, wow, that's a lot of blush. Yes, it is. I like that look. It's fun. It's drag. I feel like you should wear a lot of makeup, if that's your thing. So I'm gonna take just a little bit of that super white again, and like you can really tell through this process, it's all about layering to get that effect. At any point you can stop, but I do like to take a little bit around the edges to help kind of diffuse it, and then as it sits there, it'll kind of help blend it in. So that's really it, you guys. My makeup is not super difficult. It's really been a journey. I look back at some of my pictures and I'm like, what was I thinking? But this is really where my makeup is right now. I like where it's at. I'm sure I'll try new things and grow from here. But this is what I like, and I hope that sharing it kind of helps you out if you're starting in drag, or maybe you're tired of doing that like typical eye makeup look and you're looking to try something different. This is really it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm gonna do lipstick and then I'm gonna put lashes on and we'll be done. So I'll let you watch me do my lipstick, but I am gonna make them just a little bit bigger because I'm gonna take some brown eyeshadow and make them look like I have a lip liner on, but that's really it. I'm just really just doing final touches from here, nothing crazy. But yeah, liquid lipsticks are the jam. I know I'm kind of late to the game, but they work really well as like a lip liner, and you can buy like 3 colors and have like endless combinations. The only thing I do from here is I really like to make my lips look a little less one-dimensional, like kind of like that lip liner effect. But I haven't found like a good lip liner, and then having all the colors and then trying to keep up with them. I'd rather just use the liquid lipstick to my advantage. And then I take like just a same eyeshadow brush in a dark brown, and I kind of just take it around the edges, and it will look a little weird at first, but it'll make sense. Like, it's all about layering. You know, trust the process, I promise. I wouldn't lead you astray, I haven't yet. And then I just take one final layer to kind of get rid of some of the darkness in the middle. So basically, like, by me cleaning up, I've like pushed that darker to the edges naturally. And then from here, if you want your lips to look even larger, take a little bit of your cream concealer or like a white cream product and just put a little bit in the center of your lips. And because your lipstick is still wet, it'll kind of naturally lighten. So yeah, that's kind of how you get that perfect pout. I'm gonna go off camera. What I'm gonna do though is just brush all the powder off with just a clean fluffy brush. I'm gonna put lashes on and then we'll be back.
Sharpening your knot. Acting like you out, you breathing.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I also hope that you maybe learned something new, or now you're kind of willing to try just another technique. I think you can apply these to so many different things, even if you're not doing drag or you're just a fan. So thank you so much for watching, and till next time.